All right?
It's perfect until I turn to you, and then it's not perfect anymore.
You can just angle this in a bit more. There. Yeah. All right. There you go. And you can just lean your body a little bit. You're an athlete.
It's true. I am an athlete.
All right. Welcome back, everybody, to Just the Fit Tip.
Welcome back, everyone. Back again.
So just the Fit Tip, the tip of fitness.
Yeah, this is probably one of our favorite ones.
Yeah.
Best named by far.
Yeah. And on Just the Fit Tip, we break down fitness myths. We give you tips and tricks to help you with your training.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We give you just the tip.
That's right. Of fitness. Just the tip of fitness. Now, this one, today's episode, actually brought on by one of our clients, Deb, who posted saying she had watched this video by a group called Fitness After 50, and they talked about the trap bar deadlift being a trash exercise and that she shouldn't do it. And she's like, oh, I'm happy to say I'll never do deadlift bar again. I said, well, let's pump the brakes for 1 second there, Deb.
Yeah, definitely.
Because...
Well, first of all,
yeah.
Hi, Deb.
Hi, Deb.
It's been a long time.
How you doing, Deb?
How you doing? And second of all, that's outrageous. That's outrageous. That's
outrageous.
Silly for so many reasons. Why is it a trash exercise?
Well, let's go across to slide number 1, and let's see. There we go. Slide number 1. Actually, you know what? I'm going to take it to big screen. Boom. There we go. We can see. So, trap bar deadlifts. So, Grayscale Fitness After 50 is the channel she's talking about. I went and looked, and first off, hats off to them. They do a lot of videos talking about people who are in their middle to older ages and how important training is. So that whole part of thing, fantastic, right? Yep. But they have a particular little kink where they don't like the trap bar. Neither of them. They're neither two guys. And they said it's really bad, and he was going to give it all of his reasons. So these are the reasons that he came up with.
What are the reasons?
Well, the reason number one
what do we got?
Is that the starting position is too similar to the squat at the bottom compared to a deadlift.
Well, I mean, doesn't have to be.
It doesn't have to be.
Yeah, you can just not do that.
Yeah, I mean, so actually, if you see someone with their hips and knees on the same level when they're on the trap bar, they're probably not got great form on it to start with.
They're just doing it wrong.
Incorrectly.
Yeah, that's a technique issue.
So yeah, and his whole thing was like, if you've already trained your squat that day, which you should have, you don't need to train that angle in a trap bar.
Yeah, but don't train that angle in the trap bar.
I know. It's
just do a deadlift.
Yeah, just do a deadlift.
Yeah.
So you can still very much have in a trap bar, your triangle where where's my hand? Here it is. Where my shoulders, hips, and knees all form three different heights.
I could do Pendlay rows in a trap bar.
Yeah.
With the trap bar.
Yeah.
I just choose where to hold my body. That one seems
it doesn't really make sense.
No, it doesn't.
Okay. And
okay, what are his other reasons? Well,
okay.
Maybe he's got
reason number 2.
Maybe he's got something else.
Okay. Is actually let's say
the handles are higher. Yeah.
The handles are higher. And he goes, unless you're like, and they're set at a specific distance. So unless you're like perfectly made for the trap bar width-wise, you're not holding it in the correct position.
What's the correct position then?
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's no correct position. It doesn't really matter if your arms are straight or a bit to the side. It shouldn't really affect anything anyway.
But first of all, don't all of the trap bar handles, they're either, from what I've seen of trap bars, they're either deadlift height and that's it, or they've got 2 sets of handles. We
Correct.
Just flip it over.
Yeah, so that's the whole second point of they're too high is, well, you can just turn it upside down and it's a deadlift height. Yeah, correct.
Okay.
I've actually not seen anything that is only fixed at a higher position. I've not seen one like that.
No.
I've seen deadlift or the double.
Yeah,
so that kind of does make sense. And then they're saying, unless you're like built perfectly for it. Look, here's the thing. I've seen 50-kilo women hex bar just fine. And I've also seen Thor Bjorgensen, 200-kilo, 6'10" man hex bar deadlift just fine.
Yeah.
So really, I mean, 99.99% of people can get into a hex bar and into a good position just fine.
Okay, so far none of the points have made any sense.
Yeah, and as you can see in my bottom line there is my rebuttal for the first one is hip. Like all movements, individual biomechanics will affect your position. So just like you'll see some people that have really short legs or long legs or short torsos or long torsos will look completely different when they normal deadlift, the same when they hex bar deadlift.
I'm still just very confused. None of this seems to make any sense.
Well, and number 2,
seems like they're really reaching.
Our rebuttal is herpity derp. 95 of all. So no, I jumped ahead. It's just herp derp. Number 2, herp derp.
Herp derp.
Is that Yeah, 95% of all bars that I've seen have 2 handle heights that you can just pick.
Exactly.
Yeah, and like literally 99.9% of people it will fit. Like I've actually not seen anyone that can't get into a reasonably good position while deadlifting.
Yeah, and neither that seems silly. So what are their other points? What else?
So point number 3, as we can look at the old PowerPoint here, is there's no variations. It's not very versatile. And to that, sir, I say a hippity dip. Okay, hippity dip.
I like the third one.
You can do so many variations. I mean, it's a trap bar, so you can do high handle, low handle, banded high handle, low handle, chain high handle, low handle. You can do not zerches. You can do like a rickshaw where you pick it up and walk with it. Yep. You can do shrugs with it. Like you said, you could do a pendlay row with it.
I feel like
you can do trap stuff with it.
I feel like the trap bar is actually more versatile than deadlift bar in terms of variety, because I've seen people do some really cool plyometric stuff with it. There's even ones without the front bit there, so you can do like weird lunge kick stuff, which I see people do like all sorts of like stability work. I've seen people do some really cool, interesting stuff with a trap bar that you just can't do with the normal deadlift.
Correct, and especially the ones with the back cutout where it's only 3 sides. You can actually zercher carry those ones in front of you.
Yeah, you can do stuff.
Huge number of exercises. I feel with like the trap bar.
You could there's probably the only thing you can't do than with the deadlift
is sumo. You just can't do it in sumo stance, unless you're really tiny. You just can't do it in sumo stance.
Can we add that onto this video? I'm going to do it.
No.
I'll prove.
Yeah. So I mean, there's actually a huge amount of variations. And I think it's important to say here that the trap bar itself is a deadlift variation.
Exactly.
So I don't think anyone is saying that you should exclusively trap bar deadlift. But to say that it's a useless exercise and a useless bit of equipment is kind of ridiculous.
I feel like that point there is just really a lack of creativity on their part.
Potentially.
You know?
It's like, well, yeah, you can do a sumo and you can do a standard deadlift, all right, but almost everything else, like, what other variations are we talking about?
According to them, you can do a hack squat with the trap bar as well. So many variations. You can just pretend and do a squat.
Yeah, I don't know. So,
all right.
So I feel like, variation-wise, there's actually a heap of variations you can do with the trap bar.
It seems like they're really reaching with this one. I don't know why they don't like it. But what else have we got? What is their last point?
Well, their last point here, if I take this one across, is the trap bar isn't stable because it doesn't touch the body. It doesn't touch the body when you're standing up. You're standing in the middle of it, and because it's got nothing to rest against, it's less stable, and you're more likely to hurt your back.
But I mean, you're more likely to hurt your back.
Yeah.
So basically, when I get people deadlifting, I start them with the trap bar because it's safer and easier.
Yeah.
Before I move on to a regular deadlift.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I think one of the main reasons is because when you're in a trap bar, and like I think they're sort of alluding to, it is a cross between a deadlift and a squat position, sort of. But because you're standing in the middle of it and the bar is not in front of you and the weight is not in front of you, it's very much, I would say, a safer exercise to get a beginner on because there's less strain going through their back, especially at the initial pull.
Especially with the initial pull, if people don't understand how to use their body properly, they don't have good proprioception, coordination, they can't hold a shape to begin with. It's a really easy, foolproof way to start loading your body up and deadlifting and learning that. That doesn't make sense because it doesn't touch the body at the top.
At the top, because you're free standing there. Well, would you? I mean, here's the deal.
What are you doing at the top of your rep?
Yeah, you shouldn't be hula hooping anyway at the top of the rep to start with. But if you're lifting a weight that you can't just stabilize from bracing your core properly, then it's too heavy for you.
Exactly.
It's the exact same like if you were to put a really heavy bar on someone's shoulders and they walked it out and they don't have the stability, they're shaking everywhere.
Yeah.
Just don't use that weight. It's too heavy. If you're doing a heavy overhead press and someone doesn't have the stability or the strength to hold it over their head without shaking or moving around, they just don't have the strength to do that weight yet. So to say that because it's not touching the body, it's going to wreck your back, it's not stable enough, it's kind of like the whole point of strength training is to build the strength.
I'm confused.
Yeah.
It seems like the points that they're coming up with just don't really make coherent sense.
Which is why I rebutted with herpity-derpity. The point of free weights is to improve the strength and stability of the athlete that is doing the free weights.
Well, look, I don't know why they have such a... I don't even know what to call it. They just don't like...
They really don't like the trap bar at all.
For the trap bar.
Yeah.
But I rate it very highly and use it very often, both for beginners and advanced athletes, because you can do some amazing stuff with it. Like we said, there are a lot of good variations too. So I don't know what's going on with these guys.
Now, if we're talking about it's applicability to strength sports. Look, if you are trying to become just a power lifter and you want to train super specific, and that's fine because some training methods are really specific, some are a bit more general, right? Yeah, sure. Like there's not always a place for trap bar, but like especially like in off season where you're just trying to build a bit of mass, move some weights, have a bit of variety so you don't just get stuck in the monotony of training. Like trap bar is a great exercise for power lifters.
Not even that. If you're a power lifter and you want to develop your deadlift better, well, that's a really good in between. Like you said, it's not quite a squat, it's not quite a deadlift, but it trains the best of both. You know what I mean? If you want to have good accessory lifts that go alongside your deadlift and squat to improve both your deadlift and your squat, it's a fantastic exercise for that as well.
Yeah, 100%. Like let's say your stall out point is just below the knee. Well, that's like right where the handles, the high handles start. So you're working on a perfect place, right?
Exactly.
So look, it definitely has its reason for powerlifting. In strongman, you'll find that probably 80+% of all the deadlifts in competitions are done from height. So instead of the standard barbell height off the ground, usually like 12 inches, 15 inches, or 18 inches will be the heights. So again, trap bar is going to give you a lot of power in the starting position that you would see in that sport. So it's got a great crossover for strongman. And again, strongman having so many variations, like trap bar is good because it gets away from just a standard barbell.
I've seen it used a lot in athletic development for like team sports as well. If your sport isn't deadlifting, a lot of sports stay away from just flat deadlifting. So they'll do things like cleans and trap bar deadlifts, shorter range deadlifts, a range that they'll actually use and do use very often. So for team-based sport where there's a lot of sharp, short, stop-start, explosive jump, that sort of stuff, it's used a lot to develop that strength. So yeah, I don't know what these guys are on about, but
so yes, I did have a bit of a cruise through their channel, and I think a lot of it is good, Deb. Just be, if they're telling you something that something is not good, I don't know, just maybe. First of all, just ask us as well, because then we do one of these for you, right? And this is our rebuttal. And of course, they might watch this. They're not going to watch this, but if they did, they might be like, well, these guys didn't take this into consideration, blah, blah, right?
Well, we'd love to hear from them.
Who knows? We'd love to hear from them. So actually, everyone that watches this channel, go to their channel and say that Nevin and Adrian from the Strength Institute channel sent you, and disagree wholeheartedly with their reasoning as to why the hex bar or the trap bar is not a good sort of deadlift or a good exercise.
And rebut our rebuts.
Yeah.
Rebut butt
it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just the tip of fitness.
Just the tip.
Okay. Awesome. There you go. That is the episode of Just the Fit Tip for today. We hope you enjoyed. Hope you learned a little bit about the trap bar.
Yeah, that's just the tip. Use a trap bar.
That's it. Just the tip of fitness. We'll see you next week on Monday.
See you next week.
Adios.